it's really helpful to understand the underlying sort of psychological mindsets that are driving all of this based on workability beliefs. You've probably heard this, it either works or it doesn't work. There's another workability belief called could work. That's a place our mind goes when we're in a project or working towards something. So you take those and then you work with 3 response modes of reactive, questioning, and reflective. That's what you thought was at the end of the sentence and it was just a punctuation mark. It's really just the way that we're thinking about it. And it lets us create these. So automation means does work reactive. Does work reactive is a mindset, I believe it works. I don't have to think about it. I'm just in a reactive mode, sort of mindless, not mindful. And automation means automaticity or routine, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean machine automation. It doesn't necessarily mean AI automation or robotic automation. Automation just means does work reactive. I mean, some of us today have already done 10 things without having to think about it. So that's what this state of mind is. Then we move into disruption. Something might happen, won't work reactive, and we have a lot of things planned for that. That's why we have help desk. Okay, try rebooting. We go through that. If that's not working, we go into investigation. Now it won't work questioning, and I'll start to actually dive into it. And then we move into questioning, but could work. That's what ideation is doing. And I'm in ideation. I'm in a could work mindset. And then eventually I want to cross that line. If you're leading change, if you're a leader of change or innovation, it's about making sure people can cross the lines, because at some point you say could work as a question, and then one day you have to be able to say could work as a period. Here's our plan. It's about moving people through the story. And eventually it works, affirmation, and then we're back into a routine. So you might have noticed as you look at these psychological states, there's 2 different sides doing completely different things on the top and the bottom. On the bottom, I call that the half pipe sometimes because of snowboarding, if you've seen that. So we can basically compare what the top half and bottom half's for. Top half's for transformational change. The bottom half is when we're just in some transactional change. The top half is creativity and innovation, and the bottom half is compliance and execution. The top half is for thinking slow and unsupervised AI, and the bottom half is for thinking fast and supervised AI. The top half is for projects, research and development, and the bottom half is routines and operations. And it's about this point when you really understand this is what we're wired for, this is what we're doing, people will say, wouldn't it be nice, like sometime in the future, if we just built and designed organizations around how we actually think and learn? And I have to tell them, yeah, we did that. It was in the 1950s. Well, the organization chart itself would let you work for 20 years in one side or the other and retire with one type of thinking or another. Where in research and development, they never had errors or mistakes. They had learnings, they had tests. In operations, they had mistakes and errors, okay, and failures. And over time, we know that we don't get to live in different worlds anymore. Managers today know that they're going from one meeting to the next. One meeting, it's an operational setting. Here's how my metrics are looking today. The very next meeting is a transformational meeting about a project, something you're putting into place. And we've merged those 2 worlds. And a lot of the language from the operations world has merged in with it. And that's why we have people talking about failures and accepting failures. We were never meant to use that language, and they were always separate back when we kept them separate. As we move into our new world with AI first means whatever the project is, we're going to be asking, how can AI help? Where does it go? So we'll have the same type of thing happening, same learnings happening, approach for how to approach our work based on those 2 sides with transformational versus transactional, knowledge exploration versus knowledge exploitation.